Hey, good afternoon. Good evening. Tom Ginn, Elevate Your Profit. Hey, Marco's going to be jumping on here in a minute, but I just wanted to uh, get us started here tonight on Elevate Your Profits. We're doing something a little different tonight. We did the interview. I did the interview early today, just that time restraints wouldn't allow our guests to come on tonight. So Mark and I will be doing a little bit of bantering back and forth before we play the interview. And this gal, if you have an idea, a thought, a passion, she'll give you a roadmap of how to create a business. And so it's going to be a great interview to hear that. And I see Mark is diligently messaging out. So, Mark, you ready to come in? He's smiling. There he is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, we're doing something a little different tonight. We did the
Yeah, it
interview. I
is.
did the interview earlier just because time restraints didn't work for
Right.
all parties. But our platform is really to let people know that there's ways to go in business, and with your passion, your hobby, a great thought, all those things. So, Lynne Eichenbaum will be talking about her story. So we'll let the
I want you
interview
to
take care
say
of itself.
that last name fast 3 times, if you can.
Eichenbaum, Eichenbaum,
Yeah, that's
Eichenbaum.
not bad. That's pretty good.
Repetition is the mother of all learning, right?
Oh,
Isn't that what they say?
absolutely.
So, but Mark, how'd your day go, bud?
Oh, it went great. I'm just here being a telephone. That's all.
Being a telephone, get the blue phone. Get Jay on the line
Oh,
here.
I know. I know.
Yeah. So we got Robert jumped in.
Oh, cool.
And he says it's only 5:59. I'm glad you're early, Robert. Good. That's a good virtue. So, but today we're just gonna, Mark, have you ever had? I'm just gonna pose a question at you and see how it goes. Have you ever had one of those ideas? You go, wow, you're dealing with something. You go, if they did this or we had that, that would be a great product, right? I think we've all
Oh,
had something like that happen in our thinking.
absolutely.
And then we think it's a great idea. We don't do anything with it. And 5 years later, you see it all over the place.
Right.
I think everybody has a genius idea. Would you agree?
Oh, big time. Big time.
Hey,
Yeah,
what's
we
one do you wish that the idea that you had that came to market and you did? Did you have one of those, Mark?
Actually, I still have one. But it probably wouldn't flush. I don't know. Like for umpires, like an automatic duster off the plate or something, because they, it would be look like a brush, but you'd hit a button, it would, zzz, just do it a little bit quicker. I don't know how practical it is. They probably wouldn't go for it. But that's something I've been kicking around. Something like that. There
Okay.
are guys that come up with different things in sports or whatever, like for officials. I don't know how well it works, but
Yeah. Years ago, I had the idea. Now you see them everywhere, and I probably wasn't the first person that think about it or whatever. But people that got those things that go in the back of their car, the hook into the bumper thing, and it's a little platform that you can put your stuff in, you know, and
right.
yeah, that I had that thought years and years ago, and then now you see them everywhere. You put their camping gear here in Wisconsin. They put their dead deer on it. It's deer season, so you see people driving up and down the road with this thing that's hooked into their trailer hitch, and so that was one of my thoughts that never came to fruition. I wish I would have been the one that patented that idea.
That's a good one. It's
Yeah,
definitely a good one.
there's been a couple other things I had ideas about, and some were kind of far out, but it's amazing.
Uh, Actually, someone did come out with it. It was like a toy. I think it even got like a car wash type thing, for kids, and that, you know, I think someone beat me to that. I thought that would be kind of a cool thing to do, but
Yeah.
you know,
We all have them. I think, after listening to Lynn today, maybe we should take those little thoughts a little more serious because she's going to have a great story.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Lynne Eichenbaum, she's in New Jersey, and we'll start the interview here in a moment. But I ran across her. I always like to give kudos out to how we get some of our people that we interview. Andrea Pass out of New York as a public relations, and she does it. We've interviewed Mike Shorman and some number of other people she's referred, and so it's an honor to have somebody, a high-powered PR person in New York, ask us to interview people. So go ahead.
Did you see what Ernest said about the trailer hitch? Yeah, trailer hitch. But, we kid about that. He says you can also use those trailer hitch buggies for hauling noisy kids. But think about a trailer hitch, whoever came up with that idea.
Yeah.
Tremendous. I mean, tools. That's always something I think about are tools,
And these little things like this.
Oh, that's the killer. Yeah, the 3M
yeah,
the originator orchestrator of
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we do on a daily basis. Oh, if I just did this, maybe that'd make it more convenient or easier.
How about if you can invent a pen where it never runs out of ink? I wonder if that's possible.
For a man of few words, yes.
Take a pen.
A man of few words. It'll last a long time. So, but
just a thought.
Hey, it's a good thought. Let's see if we can come up with something.
I mean, they came up with a space age deal where you can write it upside down and all that, but it's just a thought.
Hey, yeah. Just be sparing with your words. That pen will write a long time.
A poison pen, perhaps. That's what Robert's saying. Oh,
what did he say? What's Robert saying?
A poison pen, Robert said.
All right. Love Robert's humor and his. So, hey, Mark, you ready to watch this interview?
Oh, yeah. I think this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So let me see if I can get this hooked up properly here. Hey, that's working.
This will be kind of cool to be watching this like this.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to mute our mic so we don't get that feedback. Hey, good afternoon, Tom Ginn, Elevate Your Profits. Hey, today I'm really excited to introduce somebody that hopefully will inspire you if you have a desire to go in business or have a hobby or a passion to go after it. Elevate Your Profits. We're all about Mark Gasser and I. He's my co-host. He won't be here today on this interview, but our whole mission is anybody that's aspiring, want some more freedom in life, go into business for yourself. We bring people in that shares their story and why they do what they do, how they got started. Even if you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur now, we bring in guests that maybe give you a different focus, a different perspective of what it takes to win. What is their driving force that caused them to move in that path of success? Also how to deal with struggles and challenges that business gives us. And then give you hope, give you a direction. So today's guest, and I have to thank Andrea Paz for making the introduction with our guest today. And I'm going to bring in our guest, Lynne Eichenbaum. I hope I said that correct. Did I
You
do
sure
that?
did. You did a great job,
Okay.
Tom. Thanks.
Well, it's an honor to have you here and a pleasure. And today, next 30 or 45 minutes or so, it's about you and your story and that type of thing. So just share a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, and we'll talk about your story here today.
You bet. All right. Thanks, Tom, so much for having me. And thanks, everybody. So my name is Lynne Eichenbaum. I'm actually a stay-at-home mom turned entrepreneur. I can tell you I started out in women's daytime television, network television. I worked at ABC in my younger years, in my 20s. And I was a stage manager, associate director, type. Worked on The View. I worked on Handmade by Design with Bobby Flay, the main ingredient, his very first show that he ever did. And it was great. It was a wonderful opportunity, fabulous in my 20s. But, it was the kind of thing where the job was like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. constantly. And when I met my husband and we got married, I made that conscious decision that I was going to stay home with my kids. So I had to leave TV behind. We moved out to California. Then we moved back to New Jersey. And I knew that I had to leave that behind and I had to do something else. And, being a stay-at-home mom was amazing, but I'm kind of a type A personality. And I wanted to do something beyond that. So it's funny because my oldest child was in second grade at the time and he had read every single book. He was an avid reader and he had read so many books, but he was afraid of conflict. Like he was really afraid of like the Harry Potters and just, like that kind of book just really scared him. So I said, you know what, maybe I'll write him a book series because I've got the time. And like I said, I'm type A, so I want something to do. So I actually wrote a book series. It was called Remote Control Adventures, and you can still get them on Amazon. I have a couple copies over here.
Yeah, do go ahead and share them.
There you go. Remote Control Adventures. And they're great. It was all about my TV background and, two kids who find out the remote control is magic, and an evil television producer had changed scripts and is messing up TV. And it was really fun. My goal was to write 10 books, which I did. It took me 7 years and I achieved that goal. And then quite by accident, I live in New Jersey. That's not by accident. That's Dane. That was on purpose. But New Jersey it's called the Garden State for a reason. It's got a very robust growing season. It's a wonderful climate. And when I moved here, I became an avid gardener. So I have 9 raised beds in my backyard. And I grow tomatoes, squash, zucchini, pretty much anything you can name, I grow it. And I have extremely sensitive skin. And, normal gardening gloves end at your wrist. And we all wear sleeveless and short sleeves in the summer. And I would be doing my gardening and then I would come inside and I would have little scratches or rashes up my arms. And that was just sort of par for the course. Being a gardener, that's just, what happened, what I did. I would come inside and I would scrub my arms like crazy with dish soap to try to get all the, toxins or whatever I had brushed up against from the leaves off my arms. And then one day I had 3 sprigs of something growing in my garden bed. So I pulled it. And then 24 hours later, I had poison ivy up my right arm. Oh, and wow. Yeah, it was just a bad scene. And I said, this is ridiculous. I just need a glove with a sleeve that'll take, sort of fill the gap between where the glove ends and where the sleeve starts. But I don't want it like a hot Kevlar polyester sleeve. I wanted it like you see behind me. I wanted it lightweight, breathable, airy, so that it was as if you were wearing a long sleeve shirt. So in my head, I envisioned this, which is a sleeve glove combo with a nice elastic band. And I actually am a self-taught seamstress because my kids did competitive Irish dancing and they needed someone to alter the costumes. So I bought myself an expensive machine. I told you I'm type A, Tom. So I bought myself an expensive machine and I said, yeah, I'll be your seamstress. So I taught myself how to sew. So making a prototype for me, I didn't have to go to an outside company or research a company to find a prototype. I was able, fortunately, to make it myself. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It solved my issue because I would go out and I would do my gardening, and then, reach into my tomato plants. And then I would literally take it off, put it in the laundry, and it would come out the next day completely clean. Anything I brushed up against would get washed off. The urushiol, that is the poison ivy oil that causes your skin reaction, that would get washed off in the wash. And, I sort of had the brainstorm that since nobody made it, I had done extensive research that nobody made anything like this. I said, what the heck? I'm just going to start a company. So I submitted a design patent on it. Took about a year and a half for it to come through, but happily it did. I trademarked the name Nompi, which is my company, which actually stands for No More Poison Ivy. So I'm the
Okay, I was going to ask you what the acronym stands
Yeah.
for. Okay, No More Poison Ivy.
So I
Perfect.
am, yep. So I'm the No More Poison Ivy Glove Company. And my product, because it is a garden sleeve, my product is garden sleeves. So that's kind of my story and how I sort of had the brainchild behind the product.
Well, the whole purpose of this day is help people better understand. Take that we all have. I think everybody in this audience at one time has an idea and says, "God, this would be perfect," and then they never look into it, and then 5 years later they go, "Oh my God, I had that idea."
Yes.
And we all have something that, based on our level of interest, our hobbies, our experience in life, what we do, we see problems, we solve the problems for us, and we can turn into a business or take that hobby or that idea. I like what I hear from you. You're type A. I can
Yep.
relate to that.
I
I cannot sit still. I got to have 10,000 things to do.
absolutely.
I call it ADHD or ADD at the same time.
I think so too. I completely agree with you.
but one of the things is, you had it sounds like an illustrious career planned out with you working with. Tell us a little. Tell me a little bit about what you learned working at that level with big time celebrities. What did you learn from them about maybe creating your vision or work ethics or guidance? Anything from those celebrities you mentioned? Any influence they had on you?
Well, I would have to say, just in general, the coolest thing was working with Barbara Walters and actually being a stage manager. I was the backup stage manager, but when Barbara Walters was on, because she is such an icon and she just radiates a professionalism and power.
Yeah.
And, just the fact that she worked so hard to be a pioneer in the broadcast network medium for women, it was very inspiring for me. And it sort of empowered me to say, you know what, I don't necessarily have to be, I'm a really good employee, but I don't necessarily have to be an employee my whole life. Like, there is a point in my life where I allow myself to take the risk and to be the employer, and to get to a level that I envision I can be.
Yeah. What a great experience, an icon like Barbara Walters.
Oh yeah.
And, because we can learn just for who they are, how they operate, how they interact with people. Those are all things that we can mirror ourselves after. And, if we're wanting to take ourselves to that, what I call is the next level, we're always growing. We should be always growing.
Yeah.
So,
And I also, Tom, if I can just mention too, Meredith Vieira, who worked on the show, she was the first in the first crew. I started working on that show in 1997. She is a real inspiration, because I don't know if you know her backstory, but her husband I believe he had MS, and he had been an attorney, but had to stop practicing. And she was a mom of 3 kids, and she was the breadwinner, and she was able to do both, to pioneer this show with Barbara, to be the spokesperson, of the show, to manage her whole family. And she was and she's a nice person too. which was just great. I mean, I loved my experience, and it was honestly, it was hard to walk away from. It was really hard to walk away from.
I'm sure. And then you moved to California and got married and moved to, when did you move to California? When did you move to Jersey?
Yeah, so I moved to California in 2002. So I got married in 2002 and shortly thereafter moved out to California. And, you know, I had a really hard time watching television, honestly, when I moved out there because my heart was so torn. I had made the decision I was going to follow my husband, who was in the pharmaceutical industry, out to California. And we knew that one of us was going to stay home with the kids because, like, my mom was a stay-at-home mom and she never regretted it. She had been a registered nurse, but it was something that she had wanted to do. And my whole life, my younger years, I had assumed that I would do the same thing. And I loved it. I mean, I loved being there with my kids. I loved the fact that the nanny, you know, the nanny didn't, and we did have babysitters, but just the nanny wasn't taking my child to the music classes and everything. The fact that I did that, and I consider that my second career. Like that was, you know, the career that I chose to do with a passion, because I feel like you have to have passion in any career you choose. So, you know, my first passion was television. Then it sort of switched to my kids. But I still had that TV bug in me. And I wound up meeting a great woman out in California, my friend Jen, and she and I, in our spare time, you know, between like bottle feeding and diapers, we put on a public access television show called Healthy Living. And we shot it, produced it, edited it, and put it on California Public Television, which was awesome. Again, that was a great experience for me.
Wow, a creative person.
Incredibly.
You're so now you left California and then you're in New Jersey because
Right.
your husband is the one that is driving where you're living, right?
Pretty much he's driving where we're living. Exactly. I mean, to be honest, I like California, but I was really happy to move back to the East Coast because my parents are also in Albany, New York, which is about 3 hours from us. And, you know, it's a blessing to have them close enough that if I needed assistance, which I did after my third was born, she was able to, you know, come down and stay with us, which was terrific.
Yeah. And in that period in New Jersey, you loved gardening and you saw a problem with yourself. You got the no, you didn't want to get no more poison ivy. I love that. And I just want to just make a comment out there because we all have those type of ideas that can come up. Don't take them idly, especially if you want something different in life. You want to take control of your future or give you the freedom. What were some of the reasons once you got the aha, you did a lot of research, you did all your due diligence. So you didn't start a business and have to backtrack because of legal issues,
Right.
That most people sometimes are not even aware of.
I know.
But so did you have any business mentors that help guide you through this process, or did you figure it out along the way? Or, you know, share a little bit about why it's so important. If you got an idea, you want to take something to market or a business to market, a service to market,
right?
What type of advice would you give anybody out there?
Okay, the 3 top words I would say to everybody is network, network, network. It's really important. You can't do this alone. Although you think that you can, you need help. There are people out there who've done this before, and you know, I've never done this, and I joined it's called NAWBO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, just because I was like, you know what, I think I need to meet some people who have gone through this journey before. And I got hooked up with an amazing group of 6 women business owners. And one is a photographer, one is in food licensing and product licensing, and another one is she's an inspirational speaker. And, you know, all of us are in different industries, but we've all started grassroots trying to grow our companies. And to meet people through people is really, really important. I found they've so great because we bounce ideas off each other. We meet once a month. It's called a mastermind group. And through them, like for instance, one of the women in the group is a professional photographer, and she wound up doing my headshots, and she did half of my promotional, photo shoots, and they're beautiful. They came out great. And I never would have gone beyond my 11-year-old son. I never would have gone beyond my 11-year-old son taking pictures in the backyard had I not met Carissa, who is a phenomenal photographer. And then, I met my publicist through one of the women in my group. And it's really, really important to do that. And also, I would have to say, if you have an idea, don't be afraid. Don't let fear stand in your way, but do your research. Because, again, with the whole type A thing, at first, I was perfectly happy going to craft shows and small little garden shows and selling a few here and there and making it a hobby. But it dawned on me, the more positive feedback I got from the gloves, that this could really solve a problem in the marketplace. There's a niche for it because the gardening apparel industry really doesn't exist. I mean, people don't put on garden apparel when they go to garden, except for a hat and sunglasses and their little gloves. And this sort of bridged the gap between fashion and function. And, I researched a ton to see who my competitors were. And I have to say, I really didn't have any or many.
I think that what you just shared there is so important. Number one, you mentioned about a circle of people,
Totally.
masterminds, and I encourage anybody out there should have them, whether you're in business or not, in all aspects of your life, because they give you clarity and they hold you accountable in life as well, and give you mentorship and guidance. But yeah, business, your network is so important. I'm a big Jim Rohn person. The 5 people you hang around with the most determines your net worth. Because we will flock together and herd together when you want to do it. And if you want to change your circles in life, to get
For sure.
Yeah, through that networking how do you serve them, and in turn they'll find a way to serve you as well in that network process. It's a big important aspect.
It's huge. Once I didn't even know, like through one of the women in my networking group, I met my publicist, and through my publicist, she suggested that I go to the National Hardware Show, which I just went to in Las Vegas. And through the National Inventors Association, which runs the Inventor Spotlight at the National Hardware Show, they told me I need to go to the National Lawn and Garden Show in May. So and none of this I would have been aware of had I not joined my networking group. So again, it's like 6 degrees of separation. It's like you start with one little pod, and then this person knows this person, or this event will be suggested to you, and you will meet so many different people who can help you achieve your goal.
Yeah, that's the great point there. So you recognize, you did your research, that there was a big need, very little competition, if any.
Right.
I can see you probably already thinking ahead of if the gardening apparel industry is virtually none. I could imagine your mind's coming up with all sorts of creativity.
Oh my gosh. The Nompy leg warmer is probably next, because people have come up to me who like my gloves and they're like, yeah, but I get it on my shins. Can you do a leg warmer? I'm like, okay, I'll attach one to a sock at some point. So I'm thinking, and the wheels are turning, but
Sure.
I'm at a crossroads right now with my business, in that I've taken it beyond the little craft shows. And I went from that step to the larger flower and garden shows. And I brought it to the Philadelphia Flower and Garden Show 2 years running. I took them literally right before COVID shut everything down. That was the week before. And gardeners loved them, and they were coming up to my booth and going, light bulb, hello. That's a great idea. And then when I took them to the garden show, the Philadelphia show this year, which they had the forethought to hold outdoors so that they wouldn't have to deal with, indoor masking and all that. I wound up single-handedly selling 750 pairs in 9 days to gardeners who just thought it was just like the best thing, and return people who loved them the year before and said, now I need to pick up a gift for a friend.
It's amazing how that works. That's the best
Right.
marketing. You experience something positive. You got it. You garden too. You got to get these. In this business thing, you came up with the concept, the idea. There was a huge market. You didn't realize how big it was in the beginning, right?
Definitely.
And you sort of, through that, a new level of awareness. Did you recognize it? Let's talk about, you got your product designed, the concept, you got it patented, I guess.
Yep.
Now you're using what type of research did you do to, I believe, bring the highest quality you can within in a budgetary requirement at the end for the end user. I mean, you can
For sure.
probably make these out of some really expensive fabrics, but what were you looking for in a glove? I mean, first thing for women, and men have a different need, but in a glove. But what was your research just figuring out the type of glove you're going to do?
I am so glad you asked that question because, when I started the company, I used a very inexpensive cotton poly glove because that's what I personally gardened with. And it honestly, and I would caution your viewers to also do research and focus groups before you launch something big, just to make sure it's what other people want and get more feedback, etc. My own personal experience, like I said, I used the cotton poly glove at first because that's what I gardened with. And the first year I took them to the Philly show, I had master gardeners come up to me and we were chatting about the product, and they said, "Lynne, can we give you a suggestion?" And I said, "Absolutely. Talk to me." They said, "We love your concept, but we need you to get a better glove. We use nitrile dipped water resistant gloves." And I said, "Nitrile dipped water resistant gloves? Like, what is that? Like, what even is that?" And I did research after that and realized that master gardeners, so the glove industry has changed dramatically over the years. It started off with just, again, the cotton poly, and you ran through the fingers kind of quickly. What they have now are polymer dipped. So they have latex dipped, they have nitrile dipped, they have polyurethane dipped. And it was important to me that we use no latex because I know a lot of people have latex allergies. Polyurethane dipped is actually relatively thin. Polyurethane is like the PVC dots that are on the cotton gloves, but they do a dipping process in that they have the polyester and then they just, let me put it in here, and then they just dip it. So it's got a water resistant coating. The problem with polyurethane is that women have typically longer fingernails. So the fingernails were going through the polyurethane gloves. So I wanted something that was more durable, that women with fingernails would be able to use and they wouldn't run through the gloves so quickly. So I opted with a nitrile dipped glove, and the nitrile coating makes it water resistant. The polyester back makes it cooler so that you're not just sweating in like this rubber, this rubber thing, and your hand doesn't get all wet and slippery. And again, the research was really, really important because it has to be a good glove. The fact that the glove is attached to the sleeve, you don't want a glove that you're going to run through in 2 weeks. You want something that's going to last you the whole growing season, if not beyond that. So that's why I actually chose the glove. And I found a company down in North Carolina, Carolina Glove, that actually had these amazing gloves. So they ultimately became my supplier of the glove. And the fabrics, I actually have a funny story because I'm like a kid in a candy store when it comes to fabrics.
I was going to ask you about the fabric. What do you look for? Because besides all the, what do you call this? All the prettiness.
All the prettiness, exactly. So I realized what sells and what doesn't sell by trial and error. And when I was at the Philly show this past year, actually, I ran into a woman came to my booth and she said, "Oh, I love your gloves. Hey, that's one of my fabrics." And I said, "Who are you?" And it turns out she was a rep from Timeless Treasures, which is at a very, very good quality cotton manufacturing company. And Timeless Treasures is up in Soho, which is in New York. And they also have, incidentally, they have a big warehouse in Linden, New Jersey, which is only about 40 minutes from my home. And Ellen and I started working amazingly well together, and their fabrics are quality. They are lightweight and breathable, and they are absolutely beautiful. So I've added, if you can see the ladybugs back there and the daisies, I added some just absolutely beautiful designs, and they're doing phenomenally well. So again, it was talking to people, it was networking and doing the research on it.
Yeah, and what you said there is, who would have thought all the little things about nails going through a glove, heavy, lightweight,
Yep.
And getting feedback. I think you took advice. Somebody came to you and said, "Let me give you some advice," and you accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
Did your research, because you can create your business, get moving out, and that one little glitch that fingernails go through could ruin your whole marketing efforts.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah. One little thing. So that, I think that's important to anybody out there, take counsel, get advice, get feedback from your friends that might use the product. What do they think? Or other people in that industry that see things differently than you do. Right.
Yep. And make sure you test it. Don't just say, "Oh, this is pretty, it's nice, I'm going to sell it." Like, test it and make sure it actually holds up and it works. I mean, I put mine through the wash. I put mine through the ringer. I sit there and dig in the soil. I brush up against, against desert grass and against prickers, and, to really see how well they're going to hold up.
All right. So, I got a question for you. When did you decide that you were going to do this for men as well? Have a men line, because I tell you what, I love gardening. I for years got plaid and camouflage, So was that sort of an afterthought, or was just say men come and say, "You got something that'll fit my big old mitts"?
Well,
and that's so flowery. I don't want my friends laughing at me, but what I'm sure that's maybe in the strategy, or was there demand coming from that market?
That was an evolution. Initially, I just had it for women, and when I started my men's also, I just had like a camo, and not even a buffalo plaid. Like, I just had the camo, and I had a relatively cheap cotton poly glove. And I realized, because I figured if men use them, because men are the kind of guy, they're like, "Oh, I'd rather get the poison ivy than wear a glove." So they're like, it's manly to be blistering and itching. So I originally had it just with an inexpensive cotton poly glove. And I realized, again, from talking to men whose wives or girlfriends had come up and bought a pair, that they also wanted a better quality glove. So same thing. I researched and I found manufacturers of the nitrile dip gloves, and I now offer that for the men also. And I have to be honest, I don't have as many patterns for men, but I probably sell, I'd say 8-to-1 women to men. So, I focus most of my efforts and my marketing efforts on women, but there are women who buy them for their husbands, and that's why I needed to have them available. And similarly with the men's glove, all the gloves you see behind me, the women's gloves, come in a lady's standard size medium. And it's very difficult unless you go directly to the glove manufacturer. And most of these gloves, unfortunately, the hand parts are actually manufactured overseas. I try to keep all my production in the States. So, I manufacture everything myself in New Jersey. I have 2 friends who help me, and we've made hundreds and hundreds and thousands of pairs of gloves. But the actual glove itself comes from overseas. So I needed a larger glove for women with larger hands. So that was also a need. So my men's unisex glove I use for men, and I also will put them on the sleeves for women with larger hands.
Okay. Okay. So I like to let people know in our conversation before we started,
Mhm.
you're running this out of your home, right?
I am right now.
I can see that it's going to go to the next level. So you got your office at home, you got your uh, uh, fabrication
Yep.
component going there. So as you grow your company,
Mhm.
at some point you won't be making the gloves. You'll have
Correct.
to have a manufacturing. And are you looking into that right now, making sure that they're meeting your standards? Because you're putting your personal touch in this. So when
For
you
sure.
do a seam or you put the glove on it, you know what your standards are, right? And so if
Absolutely.
that doesn't meet it, I'm going to redo it or whatever. How are you going to move that production process to what are you going to be doing to make sure that not only the quality of the product, the pieces, but that detail? I mean, that the stitches hold and those things. What are you looking at down the road as you expand your business? Because you're going to be probably doing more than a few thousand of these, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So, when you start with a homegrown business, you can go in one of three directions when you have a company like mine. So either I will bring in full-time people and get a warehouse space and actually manufacture them ourselves in New Jersey and just get all the materials and churn them out. I know how many I can make personally. I can churn out 50 in a day. And with my friends, we can do 100 in a day. But even that is not eventually going to be sustainable. So I can either hire people and be the boss and have our own manufacturing facility, very much like the My Pillow guy did in Minnesota.
yeah,
We can do that. Or option B is, like you said, find a manufacturing company that already exists in the States or overseas and have them make it. Or option C is license my patent, which I can do, to a company that wants to pay me a royalty, and they will manufacture it, they will advertise it, they will take it to production. The only thing that is very important to me, like you said, quality, I have to make sure that if I go that route, in the contract, it specifically says you need to use a nitrile glove, you need to use 100% cotton sleeves, you need to, et cetera, et cetera. You need to make the band elastic. This is the patent, and you need to stay true to the patent, because if you don't, it it undoes all of the good that I've done in the past couple of years. So it's nerve-wracking to think that I would go that route and to give that control away to somebody. So I'm not sure exactly right now. It's exciting to have these options, but I'm not sure. Over the next couple of weeks, I probably will know what direction it's going into, because we're preparing right now for spring of 2022. And we know that production is going to have to be ramped up. So I'm in the process right now of talking to manufacturers, going that route. If I decide to go that route, finding people who I trust and who will have that level that level that I expect in my product, or to be in talks with people who are actually going to manufacture them. So I just have to see where it's going to go over the next couple weeks. I'll probably know in a month.
wonderful. And I think what you're talking about, Lynn, is so important, because a great idea could go right down the tubes because
Mm-hmm.
didn't do due diligence, didn't
Right.
get some feedback, and a great opportunity. Growing too quick's a problem in business,
For sure.
right? Demand is greater than your ability to produce, and you don't want to get in that place because that can put you out of business.
Right.
And then find that balance for growth, sustainable growth, and have a strategy in and around it, no matter what it is. Any type of business. You got to have the fundamentals of business are all the same.
For sure. And
They're all the
also
same.
be careful what you wish for, because you have to be prepared. If you hope that your business is going to take off, and you position yourself and you do your research and and you're ready and and your business looks like it's going to take off, you need to, like you said, you need to be prepared and you need to be ready to take that step. It was actually really hard for me to I know it sounds silly, but even to bring in my two friends who are helping me out now, it was actually really hard for me to bring them in because I am so used to doing everything myself and by myself and my way that just even outsourcing that small little thing was like, I was serging a seam and, my friend had cut a little crooked and I was like, oh my God, she doesn't even know how to cut. But I let it go. And I was like, you know what? It's all good. It's all good.
And I think that's another thing that holds businesses from growing is that they want to control every aspect of it.
Yes.
Set the standards high from the beginning, clarity and what that means. So anybody on your team knows what that is.
Exactly.
Right?
And also fostering a really positive work environment and not being uber critical.
Yeah.
And, I always like the sandwich approach to, to suggesting someone do something a different way. It's, you did a great job. These look fantastic. Your next batch, let's try to work on straightening the line a little bit, but fabulous work. You worked really hard. Kudos to you.
Yeah. And, that's a level of business that a lot of people don't understand how do you delegate your baby, right? This is your, and I can relate to that. I had a photography business and, I had standards of how we set up a shoot and all that. And I was hypercritical and it wasn't a good thing. So you got to learn how to be a good communicator and delegator in business.
For sure.
And have what I believe in this, and just you can expand on it for those that are out there, or your wisdom and knowledge. A lot of people get out there and they have a goal, and what I have found, and I don't think this is your situation, is most people don't have a clear why in their life, a clear vision of what they want out of life. And that includes what you do in your business, your family, your faith, or whatever. And what's your thought on a goal or a vision? Where did you place your emphasis when you talk with people? With your
my goal is always, and because I'm a true capitalist at heart, and my goal was always to, I don't want it to sound trivial, but to get paid to do what I love to do. And I'm a very passionate person. And I knew, I went to college for human resource management. And I knew after working for a year in human resources, it was not my thing at all. But I loved television growing up. And, I'm not, again, read books, kids, very important, read books. But, growing up, I would come home and I would sit in front of the TV, and this was kind of the day and age that we had. And I would watch soap operas. I would watch Emergency, which was like my favorite show in the 70s. And, I just loved TV. And my dream early on was to work in TV. And when I actually got that opportunity, I just threw my heart and soul into it. It was like all my passion just went into that. And I was so, so happy. And deciding that I was then going to start a family, just like my passion, I said, okay, I'm going to leave TV behind and I'm going to start a family. And my passion just went into that. And I have great kids. I have to say, they really, the way you just being there, being present in their lives was so, so important, not only for myself, but also for my kids. And then when I wrote my books, I set a realistic goal for myself. Don't set unrealistic goals in business or whatever. My goal was 10 books. And I knew that that was a realistic goal that I could achieve. And I did. And I probably would have kept going. But again, I sort of fell into this garden sleeves, sort of business. And I really, really didn't realize that I was starting a business when I came up with this idea. I didn't. And, I'm 52 years old. I've already had how many careers, and I really did not have any idea that I was going to be working, 50, 60 hours a week, doing research, sewing morning till night, doing this business. But the fact that I fell into it and I had that passion again, that just hit me. And I said, you know what? I need to do this, not just for me, but I need to do this to show my kids that you're never too old to, if you have a passion or you have something that you fall in love with, to pursue. Because I think also it's really important to instill a work ethic in your kids. I think this generation is so bombarded with social media and everything. I mean, I talk to friends who have stores, and it's really hard to get people to even work in their stores right now because there isn't the work ethic that we had when we were growing up. And to instill that in my kids is so important. Like, my daughter is a camp counselor in the summer. She teaches tennis. She's so entrepreneurial and just loves to participate and to give back. And I think she sees that in me and she emulates it. And I love that.
Two things you said there I think is so important. And number one is the passion. I call I'm a big Simon Sinek person, person, knowing your why at an emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
Because difficulties occur, things in life happen, COVID comes in and
sure,
put things a stall in your life, or whatever it be, in personal or in business. But when you have a strong vision or passion for why you're on this earth, not just what you do in an avocation or a business,
right?
You know what makes Monday morning or that day, every day that you get up, a whole different experience?
So different.
I can't wait to hit I can't wait to hit the road running every day, because I'm clear on why I'm here and what I
Right.
do and why I do it. And yeah, there's days that, like anybody else, oh, I gotta, like in your case, oh, we got a back order of 50 gloves. I got to stay right. I won't go to sleep tonight until midnight, right? I mean, right? But it's
Yep.
it's the passion that drives you through the pain points, I call them, in what running a business.
Yeah, for sure. When COVID hit, I had elastic, I had material, I had everything that was in such short supply with regard to mask making that I said, you know what, people aren't buying gardening gloves right now. They're scared silly. I'm going to switch and I started making masks because I had all the materials. So I stopped making gloves for like a good 9 months, and I was making masks for friends. I was donating the masks to Montefiore Hospital and other hospitals in New Jersey and New York. And that also, just helping out and giving back, was also a passion that I fell into. So it felt really good. And it felt also really good to get my kids involved in that process. They were putting the nose pieces in the masks and stringing the elastic and really helping out. So we, again, you have to, whatever life throws at you, you just have to kind of work with it and keep going.
Yeah. And that's part of being in business, is know what current market trends are. What is your disaster plan? I always call that. I belong to an organization here in the Milwaukee area called EIB, Excellent Business. And a lot of businesses are just in the moment, and they're not thinking about, what if there was a fire at the plant, or what if there was a supply chain issue? What if something in the market changes, how people aren't going to buy this, but they would buy this that would be parallel? You've got to always be aware of market trends. You got to be aware of what would happen if, God forsaken, you're making your stuff in your home right now. What's plan B? What's the disaster? All your major corporation has disaster plans. Small business people don't have a disaster plan. They're
True.
not. Yeah. So that, I think that's an important thing, that, as you grow, making masks in lieu of concentration 100% on this.
Right.
And that carried you through, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, no, that was definitely helpful. And, also when I started my company, I didn't get rid of my part-time job. I was still substitute teaching in my son's school because, I said to myself, if I really don't have a market for this, like, I need to test this out, and I don't want to give up my source of income, that I was pouring everything back into the business. And all small businesses know that you do not make a profit that first year or that second year or necessarily that third year. I mean, everything you make, you're putting back into the business. So I didn't give up my part-time teaching job for a long time until I knew that this was going to actually be lucrative at some point in the future. And in order to devote, I gave it up just before COVID because I said, I really need to focus all my time and energy into this because I do have a market and because it can grow and it's going to go someplace.
And you said it again, your passion, you knew that you got a family to take care of, you got some economic needs, those
Yep.
type of things. So you did what you need to do in the interim while you were building it out. And,
Yep.
and so many people, and I've been that way my entire life. I've been in business since 1983.
Okay.
My wife and I are entrepreneurs. And I think in that 40-year period, I probably have only had maybe 2 stints working for somebody else.
Okay.
But I still was in my passion. I was in sales leadership and training. And but while I made a transition to start my next business. And people said, well, why are you getting a part-time job? Well, I got obligations, but I'm not giving up to get a job, something I knew I wouldn't love doing. I'm going to work. That passion gets you that extra 2 or 3 hours that you normally couldn't get. And I always bring it to people's attention. How much time do you spend in non-productive activities in one's life? And it first depends about 5 to 6 hours on devices in this country. Take half of that. Don't give up your fun stuff. I don't believe you should just be a grindstone, but give up half of that and put it to a dream, a passion. And it may take you 2-3 years. It may take you 5. But you know what? When it comes to fruition, won't you rather be in that place of, I did it? My legacy you're creating a legacy for your family.
Yes, I am.
A demonstration of good work ethic and having visions and working hard and all those things. You're doing something that will carry from generation to generations for your family.
For sure.
Not just the money. A lot of people think I'm going to create legacy. I'm going to leave them a lot of money. No, they're going to learn what it takes to create their own legacy, right?
Exactly. And again, like the most important thing I would say is don't let fear stand in your way, because, we fear the unknown and we fear the known. Like we fear everything as humans. We fear success. What's going to happen when I get really successful? We feel failure. Well, what's going to happen if this doesn't succeed? Just don't let fear stand in your way. Take the baby steps. And, if you hit a roadblock, take a deep breath and do your research and figure out how to get around the roadblock and then go on from there. Again, baby steps, I think, are so important, and conquering your fear.
Exactly. And that's what I work with in the personal development side, is helping people understand where fear comes from and how do you lean through it and how do you get through it, and reframing your thinking. And it really comes back, I believe this, when you have a clear vision, purpose in life, fear no longer becomes the obstacle.
Right.
It doesn't. The passion for that, the vision of the outcome you seek, will cause you to, I call it a crusading mentality. You're just gonna fight through it for whatever you need to do to accomplish that mission. I was just looking at this again. Let's talk about your product here and wrapping up a little bit.
Okay.
I was just looking, because I'm a critical guy.
Okay. It's okay. I can take it.
When I first got these, I said, well, how is she going to attach the glove? It is beautiful. I mean, you can't even see the stitches on the outside. I don't know anything about making, but this is not just a functional piece. It's also beautiful, the way it's done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a creative. So yeah. So this is really nicely done. How do people find out about you?
Okay. So they can visit my website, which is mygardensleeves.com. And I have all my information on there about my story, my products. My Facebook page is also My Garden Sleeves, and I have all the events that I'm going to, and I've got all my information on there as well. And it links up to my e-shop, which is No Big Gloves. And, my whole story's on there. And I think it's really, I think it's a pretty inspirational story. And, I like to inspire young entrepreneurs and people to, really pursue their dreams and to, to just learn along the way and ask lots of questions. I love to mentor. I've done, I've done talks with Brownie troops and Girl Scout troops, and really, try to inspire the girls to have a really strong work ethic, because opportunities don't just knock at your door. You have to work hard, and you have to make opportunities for yourself. They're not just going to come and land on your doorstep. So I try to really, instill that in the girls and the boys who I speak with. So My Garden Sleeves, that's the crux of it.
Well, we got this time of year, and I would just encourage anybody out there. Most people do garden one way or another to one extent around the house, or they're doing something, they're worried about protecting their skin from whatever.
Yep.
And it's a great opportunity to buy local, buy American. Think about Christmas gifts for your family that gardens. I think this would be a great. I'm looking at the quality of this. I even put the glove on, and this glove fits my hand. I don't have big hands, but very, very. I could see if I had a gardening thing. I live in a condominium now where everything's taken care of, so I would definitely buy these in the men's when I did all my gardening. Seriously,
Awesome.
Yeah, seriously, it's great product, and you got my endorsement. And would you encourage
you, Tom? Thank you.
Yeah, they are well made.
Yeah.
And I think that's a quality to the standards you have. It's just not just putting something out that fills a need, but you're doing it with forethought, and that you feel good about what you put out there. So I think that we did I tell you what, 45 minutes, 50 minutes goes in a pretty quick time, doesn't it?
It goes fast. Yeah. Well, good company. So this was great. Tom, you're a super, super host. And, thanks so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to share my product. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yeah, everybody out there, tag and share this out there. We all know somebody that gardens, gets poison ivy, gets bug bites, gets scratches, sensitive to sun. You don't want to be wearing heavy clothes while you're gardening. At least you can get these off and on. It sounds like in a pretty quick hurry, and stay cool. And, so with that all said, it's an honor to have you on, and like you keep abreast of what's going on with your growth. We'd love to have you back on again as you grow, take the next step, share with what the struggles you had and how you overcame those obstacles, where you're going with your business, because your story could be anybody's story.
Absolutely. And I would be happy. To come on. I'm assuring you that this time next year, there's going to be a lot to talk about.
Oh, I look forward to it.
Great.
And there's no doubt about your success. You've got the right mindset, the right focus, the right reasons to do what you're doing. So, and that'll carry you a long way. I'm going to put you in the back room because we did negotiate blue M&Ms. I want you to enjoy them while you're in the back room, and I'm going to close out, and then I'll come back to you.
All right. Thanks again, Tom.
There's an example of what it takes to be successful is being aware of what you don't want and what you do want in life. When an idea comes to you, don't discount it. Does it align with the things that are important to you and your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, your purpose? And then take action. Lynne gave a great example of the path to get to where you want to go. And it is a journey. It's not a destination. When she hits the next place, there's going to be another view you're at a different mountaintop. You're going to see a different horizon. And I can't wait to see what that's going to be about here in the future. So it's Christmas time. Know how to get a hold of her. Go to her website. Get yourself some gloves. Protect your arms. No more poison ivy. I really love that acronym. So with that all said, I just want to make one announcement. A week from today, our guest, Mark Gass, and I will be interviewing Sean Litvik, very significant person.
That was good.
Yeah, I think that was, anybody that's out there listening, hey, circumstances come in life, you find an idea, act on it. Do your due diligence. She did her due diligence. She's took a simple idea and she's going to do some pretty significant things.
Right.
You're going to be seeing, I don't have any inside track, just my own assumption here. I think you're going to start seeing those gloves in some of your major, what would you call them, garden retail stores in America. What would you think, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you saw them at HD and a place called Lowe's. And, I could see that happening for sure. I mean, if that's the route she wants to take. But what I really liked is she talked about the ageism thing, which is real out there. There's a discrimination no one wants to talk about, but she defied the odds. And it's an American-made product as well. Tremendous. And then when I love the part where she said, I'm struggling if I want a franchise, don't want a franchise. She said, these are good situations to be in, or do I want to keep this, control it, and that's cool to be in that place. So she's got all these options now because of that little idea.
Yeah, she made some really good points, things that we got this idea, but the type of glove, she thought she'd make the gloves because she used a certain type of glove, but guess what? She wasn't the norm out there, right? I mean, she found that there's a better, then finding out that certain gloves, the fingernails go through, that wouldn't be a good thing, right?
Sure.
So, a lot of things that she covered fundamentally that were profound.
Yeah.
No business experience. She's the first one to tell us she had zero, but she had the idea and she had a work ethic. She has a purpose and a passion for making these beautiful gloves. I mean, they're really nice. I seriously, I really looked at I said, this is a high quality product that's going to last. For what it's designed to do. So
I think it's cool that she talked about how she got involved with a women's organization and networked that way for business people. And then she talked about that famed word, masterminding with others that, could help her. And when she was at that trade show, she said, hey, you need to make them out of this material, like you just said. They gave her some input. And they said, we love the gloves, but you need to make them this way. And it's amazing.
Yeah. It's her baby. And she it's hard to give up some of that relinquishing control, but, a good leader will learn to do that, but set the standards high. And I think she has high standards. And the product is a demonstration for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so she gave some real solid points for anybody that's out there. There's
absolutely.
And there's everybody out there. If you have that desire, a passion of whatever it is, go for it. Just really go for it. Life is too short. Would you agree, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. It's getting shorter every day for me, my friend. I'm not getting any younger. None of us are.
No. I'm grateful that I'm here this moment. This is what you have control of, and
right.
And I use that in my gratitude stuff. Is that be grateful for what you have. Don't even in the things when things are difficult. And she had challenges, right? Getting her business off off the ground.
Sure.
And COVID, but she adapted.
Right. Because she
That's
said,
the
who's
thing.
going to garden with COVID? I mean, I thought that was kind of funny, but not funny, but just how she inserted that. She had to rethink things.
Sure. You got to adapt as the market conditions changed. And yeah, she's got some pretty off the camera, won't disclose, but she's got some creative stuff with the gardening apparel industries. I think, she's going to have her own Lynne product line or whatever, whatever she's calling it now.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. This is my own perception. This is my own reading between the lines and those type of things.
What do you think? Do you think she's going to relinquish right and franchise it, or what do you think she's going to do?
Well, it really depends. That personal choice.
Right.
I guess there's probably no wrong answer.
I mean, that's a good problem to have. I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong.
When you set your business up strategically the way she's done the market research and all the things you need to do, it's nice to have those options. It now comes down to how big does she want to take it?
Right.
What's the reason to make all this money, right? It goes beyond just the dollars that you put in your bank account.
Sure.
And so a good problem to have, right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did mention something. I'm not going to mention names, but umpires wear chest protectors, and there's one guy, I think he's getting ready to retire in the professional ranks. He developed one and he's got the patent on it. There's another guy for, like baseballs go in a ball bag. Well, certain parts of the country is very humid. He designed a ball bag that it wouldn't get all sweaty against your leg. I mean, you don't think about these things until you're out there. And people order it all the time. And so that's why I say there's always something. So when I was listening to her, I was just getting ideas, I was like, wow, you could do this, you could do that.
Yeah. Get you to think, a little bit. So
it does.
Yeah. But I thought she was a wonderful interview.
Oh, she's a delight. I mean, while we were sitting here, I, hooked up with her LinkedIn and I said, we're really enjoying your interview earlier today. So, and also Facebook as well. So.
Oh, good. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. And that,
we need to get her back actually live. What we need to do is bring her back, Lynne back and talk to her and say, okay, tell us about your situation. Can you elaborate where you're at? You talked about this, and this. So what's going on in Lynne's world now? Maybe after the holidays or pre-holidays or during the holidays, Yeah.
She said, what'd she say? In another month, I'll have made my decision.
Right. So maybe December, say, hey, come on back and let's talk.
Sure. Let's do that. Yeah. She'd love to come back in. So, I know tonight do you have cha-cha night tonight?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. we went dancing on Saturday too.
Cool. Good. Yeah. You got to have some fun, right, Mark?
Yep. Lord knows you need to do that too. It's okay to have fun out there, people. Even in business, it's okay to have fun.
Well, I look at it this way. If you're not having fun, you're in the wrong thing.
Right.
You're not excited to get up in the morning, you're doing the wrong things.
Absolutely.
And, get fear out of the way. She said,
as I always tell people, I can have as much fun as you can afford. And I know you've been waiting all day to talk to me. You just don't know it yet.
I love it. Mark. Awesome. So let's do that. We'll get her back on. And
I think we should. That would be kind of a fun before, after, and now the aftermath of your decision. Where are you going?
I told her, I says, I guess I'm honored to know a mogul right from the beginning. The beginning of a mogul. You never know. She may be that next big name. They go, top.
We could see her
100
on
business.
these garden and event type broadcasts, on whether it's public TV or, and it leads to other things. I
Yeah.
could see that happening with her since she's
Oh, yeah.
TV related. That's what I was thinking about in the back of my mind, listening to her. It may take her back to TV again, not to work it, but to be on as a guest on a show.
Or run her own show, or
Yeah, have
what do
a
they call those
gardening
buying networks?
podcast or something. Yeah.
Yeah, those TV buy programs or whatever. CVs. What do they call that program? I don't. What do they call that program? They pitch product online.
Oh, yes,
TV.
yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they're on 24/7, and right
Yeah.
now they're promoting Christmas. Yeah, we're not even into Thanksgiving yet.
Yeah. So
Halloween just ended.
gosh, can't believe it. Well, Mark, anything else?
That's it. I mean, I think Lynn kind of epitomizes elevate. Hey, there's Ted. That she epitomizes elevate your profits. She definitely is doing it in more ways than one, and not just through dollar bills. I mean,
and be an example for children, setting that.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and she even told us her age, not the exact number. She said she's in her 50s, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ted, how you doing, bud? I'll see you on Thursday. I'm going down to see Ted.
Cool.
Down in Chicagoland, yeah. So, well, Mark, that was the interview today.
That was beautiful. I mean, it was a different format because it was pre-recorded, but that's why we need to bring her back live. That would be neat.
Yeah. So, well, thanks much. Enjoy your evening, and
I sure will.
Okay, bud.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we, everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Cool. See you on Thursday, Ted. Be good.
I guess you can close us out here, sir.